lived my life around design without knowing it. I went to school, it was a nightmare. I'm dyslexic, I am bipolar, I am a little bit attention deficit disorder, which none of the things that anybody heard of at that time. And no, the priest didn't know what to do with me. I couldn't do things like other people did. I look at a list of numbers and they still do. They turn into a circle. You have to learn your weaknesses. In order to build a career, you have to know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. You have to compensate for them, whichever best way you can. Maybe it's the fact that you get people to do certain things for you because you can't do them. But that's what building a career is. Building a career is going for everything that you are, the good, the bad. My mother is traveling in Bogota, things are going really bad. She gets robbed in one of the buses by a pickpocket. They're very good pickpockets in Bogota. They really know what they're doing. And we had nothing. She was desperate. She didn't know what to do. She was crying and crying. And it was like the end of the world. For her, it was the end of the world for me. But that night in the pension, or the boarding house, the doorbell rang at 10 o'clock at night. It never happened really before for anything to do with my mom. And it was the postman saying, you know, I found this letter for you and I thought that I would just bring it now, you're on my way. And he brought this letter. And it was from a friend of my mom that she had not seen or talked to or had any contact with since she left Medellin. And she sent money. I don't know how much money it was, but she sent money. And she told my mom, please keep in touch, let me know how you're doing. I know you're having a hard time, but be strong. That letter saved us. That letter gave us the incentive that we needed. It was another lesson. If you're building a career, you must have faith. Because at different points of a career, there are going to be highs, and there are going to be lows. And the lows can be very painful, and you can think that everything's falling apart. But I always refer to that experience in my life that little boy had. The fact that something always happens, and things always work out. And I have used that time and time again in my life, personal life, and also in my career. Building a career is something that affects everything that we do. I mean, this little boy was 13 years old. We come to this country. My mom comes to this country. She does everything she can to get a job and to get a visa and everything. She was like a woman with a mission, just completely focused on that. And I admire her so much for having done what she did. We arrived here, and as usual, things are not what they're supposed to be. The job that she had became something else that she thought she was going to get. The person who was meeting us at the airport was not there because they had a car accident. So we had to go to Pennsylvania on our own. And I'll never forget that because it was so amazing going to Times Square and seeing the camel sign with the smoke rings. Going to Pennsylvania Station, which was so much more beautiful and fabulous than Grand Central is. Not that Grand Central is not, but it was just different and it was really spectacular. It was so big, I couldn't believe there were things that big in the world. And then arriving in Pennsylvania and starting with a new language. For me, I learned English by the foundation of my English was watching television, watching, Lucy and Ricky was my mentor. I loved Ricky. I picked up his accent. That was what I knew. That was, you know, he was the Latin guy in television. So he really affected me. And as well as all the other shows. By the time I got to school, I was able to hold a conversation. Because after each session watching TV, I would go and I would stand in front of a mirror and practice words that I learned that day. And somehow I figured out what they meant. It was really amazing to go to school, to sit in a classroom where you don't understand the word the teacher's saying, and to know that you're going to be tested on it the next week, and you don't know what the hell you're going to be tested about. It was really amazing to watch my mother having a nervous breakdown at home because all of a sudden it hit her what she had done. And she was scared and she was having a nervous breakdown. I think that's what a nervous breakdown is. I never found out for sure, but I think that was it. And then to go to school, and to go to school in a place where they had never seen a foreigner in Eastern Pennsylvania, and to experience bullying, major bullying, mental bullying, to experience all of these things that were so hard. But I thank my bullies because they made me stronger. And wherever they are today, I hope they're okay. Not that long ago, I didn't wish they were okay. But it took me all these years to work through that. But in a career, in building a career, you're going to encounter people that are going to want to take advantage of you, that are going to want to get the best of you, that are going to take advantage because you're a nice person. And that is something that you learn to deal with most of the time when you're a child. Think back to when you were children, everybody. Think back what lessons there are. Think back, I remember walking in La Avenida Jimenez in Bogotá, just before that picture was taken, and thinking about life. I used to do that. I used to think about life, I mean, as a kid, and thinking, when I grow up, I want everybody that comes into contact with me to be happier because they came into contact with me than they were before they did that. So what did I do? I started thinking, well, how can I do that? I said, well, it's just everybody, not just the important people. The person I buy a candy from, make them happier. The person who rides the bus to school, the driver or the school bus, make him happier. Say hello, smile, do something that will make that person feel better. That was a decision that has affected my whole life. And that, I think, almost more than anything else, has made my business a success. Because I do deal with my clients, with my vendors, with my associates, with everyone from that point of view. It's a good thing not to create enemies when you're building a career. If you can avoid it, it is not always possible. Those happen, but not to create them or make them. I think that now we're ready to go into the pictures of my work. This was the first project I ever did. There was a flood, the clients didn't have any money, I used the cushions from their old sofa. I did whatever I could to make the project work. But there's still clients. There's still clients today. It's been all these years. This was the first piece for the same room. First piece of furniture I ever designed. I was very young at that time. I designed this for this project. I had the contractor make it, and I still love it. This is the project that launched me. It's Princess Yasmin Aga Khan's apartment. Can we hold it on this for a moment? Thank you. I went to school with one of Yassi's friends, classmates. She moved to New York and she needed a designer, and she asked me she asked her friend to recommend somebody. They recommended me. She's still my friend, she's still my client, I still do all her lampshades. And I did several apartments for her, but she had 3 cats when I first started working for her. And it became a thing where whenever we would do things, I would do things for a room and I would get them done to a certain point. And then we would order the rest of the room. And by the time the rest of the room arrived, the first part was ruined by the cat's nest. So it was a really funny thing, because at one level I was very happy because I was working. At another level, I wanted to finish it so I can photograph it, and I knew that that would be something that I could get published right away. By the way, the first job, I got published. And I got published because I did it on my own. It was before I had my wonderful public relations man who is here, Mike Stroll, the best for interior designers and architects. But at that time, it was just me. I took the pictures to every magazine editor, and I rang, called them up and bothered them, went, saw it, they wouldn't take it, went, saw it, until finally I got it published. It got published all over the world, It got published in magazines in Asia, it got published in the United States. So publishing things for people who are building a career is very important, but it's not completely necessary. There are people who build brilliant careers never having one thing published because they hit on a group of people or some contacts that are always doing things, and that becomes their career. I mean, after my little bit of publicity with the presidential palace, I wanted more. It wasn't enough. I wasn't going to give that up. Besides the fact that when I was little, what I really wanted to do was to be a movie star, because that's what I thought really rich and famous people were. And I, thought about it and everything, and then we moved to New York, and then all the waiters were actors. And I thought, I don't want to be a waiter. I don't think I want to do this. I don't think this is what I want. And somebody went to my high school and, introduced himself as someone who was studying interior design at Pratt Institute. He showed the work, and he left a form for a scholarship. And I thought, wow, this is great. I want to do this. And I did all of the things that they asked for in the scholarship. And I did them as well as I could, and I redid them if I wasn't happy with them. I turned it in and I got the scholarship. And that's why I'm an interior designer. So, going back to the pictures. This was the first really glamorous apartment I ever did. Let's continue. Just pictures of publications, we can turn that quicker. Covers, things that happen, which make your career better and better, and all that stuff. Those are all my covers as well. Different projects that we're going to see other pictures of in the future. And Architectural Digest, and I'd like to stop here for 1 second, has been, without a doubt, the most important tool that ever happened in my career. Again, I was in Los Angeles. I decided I'm ready. This was when I was very young.